Hi.
Hey,
I'm excited to talk to you.
I'm excited to talk to you and a little nervous.
Why are you nervous? It's gonna be
Because
fun.
you're kind of a big deal.
I don't think so, but I appreciate you saying that. So, oh my God. So I was going through your catalog. I got so many freaking questions. I don't understand how you not bigger than what you are. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna do your intro and then we're gonna get into the questions, okay?
Okay, I'm going to share out your live to all
All
my
right.
friends.
All right. So, welcome to Black Girls Tired Book Talk, where we celebrate authors across genres, backgrounds, and experiences. Today, I'm excited to sit down with Alexandria Shaw, a contemporary Regency sport and mystery romance author whose range is nothing short of impressive. Born and raised in Chicago State, where she still lives with her family, Alexandra balances her career in tech as a product manager with her passion for storytelling. She's majored in American government and international relations and completed the Rule 6 program studying law. And between raising her children and working full time, she's built a fictional world. She's built fictional worlds that sweep us from Regency England to NFL stadiums and gymnastic arenas. She's devoured Hemingway, which I love Hemingway. Dan Brown, love him too. But called Judith. Now I want to say her name, Judith McKnight. Not
McNaught.
Judith McNaught, her literary North Star, because McNaught's books moved her in ways that left a lasting imprint. Alexandria writes with the same intention to create stories that entertain, provoke thought, and stir emotions, leaving readers with both satisfied and reflective. Let's dive into the mind behind the Bow Street Ladies, the Nightingale Chronicles, and her sports romance series Beyond the Game and Seattle Ironbacks.
Yeah.
All right. So let's start with these questions. You've built a career in tech while also being a mother and an author. How has juggling these different parts of your identity shaped the way you write, both in discipline and in perspective?
Um, well, I've always been able to compartmentalize.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that at a young age. I have ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
And the kind of ADHD I have is hyper focus. So
Mm-hmm.
I tend to hyper focus.
Mm-hmm.
So, hi everyone. So for me, it has been good to have different parts of my identity segmented off so that I can be more fulfilled because I'm more than a mom.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more than just a project manager or
Mm-hmm.
program manager or product manager, whatever we want to call it in tech today.
Mm-hmm.
And but I'm also very creative and I needed an outlet for all the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it's just about like finding a way to let me be who I am and being with the right partner who enjoys that about me and supports me in all my crazy.
You cited Jonathan. I mean Jonathan. Jude. My husband must be dreaming about me or something. You cited Judith McNaught as a favorite. What lessons from her storytelling style have you intentionally carried into your own work?
She writes messy and real before
Mm,
it was known as messy and real. So she's a historical romance author,
mm-hmm,
Regency time, but she
mm-hmm,
wrote messy and real before, like, I don't even know if it's technically even a genre or if I like heard it somewhere and made it up, but I carried over that feeling that I get when I read her books.
mm-hmm.
At least I hope that I do into the books that I now write. And it was I read the book not almost perfect. Now I'm thinking of DeAndre. Um, Almost Heaven. Um, and in that book, I just felt every single feeling you could possibly feel while
Mm,
reading. Like I cried, I laughed, I was pissed,
mm-hmm,
I was frustrated, like every feeling you could have in a book.
mm-hmm,
Judith McNaught like made me feel. So I when I wrote the Nightingale Chronicles, it was right after I finished. I've read Almost Heaven probably like 10 times. It's like
Mm.
my go-to book when I'm feeling down.
Mm-hmm.
So I read it and then it like inspired the Nightingale Chronicles. They're not at all the same, but
Mm-hmm.
there's a feeling. You know what I mean? Like when you read a book, you
Yes.
kind of know that feeling you get. So that's I feel like I'm bringing that over into my books.
Yeah. It's a book called Damien's Windsor. Is by a poet who turned into a romance author, and the book I've read I don't know how many fucking times. It's just I
It doesn't
love it.
matter. You still want to read it over and over again,
Yeah.
right?
So let's talk about your books. Um, the Bow Street Ladies Unmasking the Gentleman series sets the stage for a series where women take on the investigative roles society denies them. So,
Yes.
what inspired you to blend Regency romance with mystery and crime solving?
Well, because I work, this is where like intersections of my life come in. It is
Mm-hmm.
now 2025. I
Mm-hmm.
am a woman in tech, and it is still hard as to like deal with it. Like it is a hard career. I was the last team that I was on, I was the only woman on the team of all men.
Mm.
And um that feeling of just like being frustrated, going on calls where they talk about things I have no interest in when like where they're just shooting the shit. Um and I wrote the Bow Street Ladies while I was dealing with some frustrations I was having with my own boss.
Mm.
And he would parent me. I'm like, I am not your daughter. I am your employee. Um, and it was just frustrating. And I was really into historical romance and women during this time. Like I was reading this other series by Lauren Smith at the
Mm-hmm.
time, and she had these women that they weren't doing crime solving. One was like writing a newspaper or something, and it was like under the scenes, like behind the scenes, writing a newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like really, and I'm like, well, what if women like investigated crimes? Like women are smart. Why couldn't I know it didn't exist, but can't we do that? Can't women be like? Couldn't they have done this? Maybe they did. I don't know. So I looked at the history of the Bow Street Runners, which is the precursor to Scotland Yard,
Mm-hmm.
um, and started looking into what they did, how it was done, how investigations were looked at, and then
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, the Bow Street Ladies were born from that. Like I just was sick of women being stuck in the back. I
Yeah.
just came from my own feelings of being kind of suppressed by my boss,
I
and
love
then
that.
yeah,
The Bow Street Runners, for those who don't know, were historically known as the first organized police force in London. So, by having women step into their gaps and failures, what conversations about gender justice and power are you hoping readers take away from this?
well, I hope people look at it as you know like I said, it's 2025 and women are still working to get a voice, to be
Mm-hmm.
like looked at as serious. It frustrates me because we are very smart. We
Mm-hmm.
live in a country where women still haven't had a president or a leader that's a woman. And if they do, it's always a woman that's in the back. It's always the woman like, we talk about Eleanor Roosevelt or like Michelle Obama. These are women that were powerful, but they had to do it from the sidelines.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't the president. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, it's like I just want people to start. I don't know. I'm not political in that sense, but I just want women to feel empowered to know that their voice matters, that they're just as smart as everyone else. It doesn't matter if you're a woman, like none of that matters. If you want to do something, if something interests you, don't let your gender be the reason you don't do it.
Yeah.
And
I
don't
think
let the naysayers push you down. Like my boss was driving me insane at this time. Like hey mama, um, it was just ridiculous. Like he would pop in on calls that
yeah.
I was running because he didn't trust me. And then so that was kind of coming into the way I wrote the book, and
Mm-hmm.
moments between Marcus and Sophia where he didn't trust her.
Mm.
And I just want women to know it's not about you, it's about everyone else. Like,
Yeah,
it's their problem, not your problem.
I think I think authors in general, and I say it a lot to Black authors and authors that are POC. I think that writing is revolutionary in itself. Political stances aside, is revolutionary because you are speaking to the masses who need to hear it. Even though escapism is part of literary fiction, it's truth seeking as well. And it's also revolutionary in the sense, like you're talking about women being women and doing anything a man can do. That's revolutionary. Where, policies aside want to push women to the side and make us just housewives barefooted and in handmaidens' tales.
And they
But
still are doing it to
right,
this day. Like, we're still fighting this concept
but
of
it's
women
books
having
like
to push them.
yours. But it's books like yours that somebody is going to read and be like, you know what? I could do whatever the fuck I want to do. Fuck everybody else. Sorry, anybody that's her family member that I'm cussing, but I could.
My family swears like sailors. You're fine.
So let's talk about When a Lady Saves a Duke, the first book in the series. Sophia Perkins is determined. She's capable. She's unafraid to step into danger, right? And then you have Marcus Harrington. On the other hand, is he wrestling with both the internal demons and the outer threats? So how did you balance crafting Sophia's strength without overshadowing Marcus' vulnerability and vice versa?
Um, well, Marcus is the head of his household. He's a duke. Um, and and everything that Sophia does, she does under, like, her brother doesn't really know what she does. She does
Mm-hmm.
it behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so she's very good at, I hate to say this, but she's good at being manipulative.
Mm-hmm.
She's good at playing Marcus. Like, there's a scene in the book where she needs to get information from his mistress.
Mm-hmm.
And Marcus is falling in love with Sophia, and he doesn't want to tell her about his mistress or his former mistress, because now he's decided he wants to pursue Sophia. And so he's decided he doesn't want to have a mistress anymore. But Sophia needs to know this. She's very, so she asks some questions to figure out who the woman is, and then goes behind his back and interviews her,
Mm-hmm.
because she's like, I know what's best for you, even though you don't know. So
Mm-hmm.
rather than have an argument with him, trying to get him to do something that he's not going to want to do,
Mm-hmm.
she gets the information that she needs, and then tries to, and goes behind his back to do it. So a lot of what she does, unfortunately, is like, and I feel like this is kind of true to the time and still to this day, like, women have to manipulate to get their way. Otherwise, the man's going to try and push her down. And in his mind, he's supposed to be the head of the household. He's still having a hard time grappling with the fact that Sophia is trying to help him and that she's capable of helping him.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys for the gifts. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I think by doing that, and then eventually Marcus kind of figures it out, but he's already in love with her. So he kind of, and it's what he loves about her.
Mm-hmm.
So the things that, and that's why they work, because
Yeah.
she's not the little woman who wants to be pregnant and barefoot in the house.
Mm.
And so he ends up realizing he wants a woman like Sophia. That's why he's still single, because he's never found anyone like her before. So,
Mm.
so kind of in a way, it was like he was waiting for someone like her. And in she's an older woman by this, like, I say older, she's in her early 20s. By the time you're in your early 20s during Regency times, you're considered on the shelf. You're considered a spinster.
Mm-hmm.
So she never thought she'd find anyone that would accept her. And she was fine with that. She's like, I will, fine, I'll die alone. And I will
Yeah.
do this job, because I'm not going to pretend I'm not who I am. That's a theme with all the women in my books. They're
Okay.
not going to change to make the man happy.
As they shouldn't. Thematically, the book explores unaliving because I can't say the N word, but unaliving, underground London, love amidst darkness. What was the most challenging part of weaving mystery, romance, and historical detail with one cohesive story?
Um, I think balancing the love story and the mystery was probably the hardest. I love doing research.
Mm.
Um, so trying to make sure that the detail, it's funny, I got a really bad review. And the girl who left the bad review, um, everything she wrote in the bad review historically is inaccurate because I did my research. So like they
Mm.
didn't bathe in those days. There are things about that time that there's a misconception. People were very sexual during this time. Like they
Yeah.
were spicy.
Yeah.
Um, so I feel like nowadays, like we tend to repress ourselves
Mm-hmm.
in that sense. But in that time, like women were kind of freaky. So, I mean, I I took I took that research and then I wove it in with that story and how I mean there's so much to that book in that small little book. I think the harder one was number 2 because I wrote it I added a third person perspective,
Mm.
adding in the unaliver
Mm-hmm.
and made it a little bit more of a psychological thriller.
Mm.
And getting into his head was probably harder for me because he
Mm.
was so good at being evil and and I hope people don't know that he's so evil. He comes across as the nicest man and he
Mm.
is. Like people are not what you see. Like that's why you always like go on the news and there was like I had no idea he was blah blah blah. Like
Mm-hmm.
um
Yeah, I can see that.
so it was like that concept as I was writing it, I wanted people to see, and I think that one was harder because you want them to be a villain, but they're
Mm-hmm.
not. Like there's so much more than just a caricature of what you want a bad person to look like.
Yeah.
But instead he's so much more. So for me that was probably the hardest.
Look at Ted Bundy. Just
Exactly.
saying. Nobody thought he was that way. Um, let's talk about the Nightingale's Chronicles. Um, Lady Jacqueline is not your typical Regency heroine.
No.
She's business minded. She's athletic. She refuses to bow to societal expectations. What was the spark that led you to create that character?
My daughter.
Ooh.
So my daughter was about 2 and she was at school. She's very athletic and she wanted to start doing sports. And
Mm.
when I was little, my older sister wanted to be in basketball, but she was a girl. And at the time that I was younger, they didn't have girl basketball teams. So my dad and my mom put her on an all boy basketball team because that was the only option for her. Like they had to fight to get her on a boy basketball team.
Mm.
My daughter wanted to do baseball. But at her age, there's like t-ball and there's no like girl t-ball. And she wanted to do soccer, and there were no kids her age doing soccer, so it was um, or no girls that wanted to do it. Like they wanted. My daughter plays with Barbie. She does all the things that like girly girls do, but she also is athletic. She's also like she does all these other things. She's more than just the one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I wrote Jacqueline kind of for her because I dedicated the book to her because I want her to know that she can be many things. She can
Mm-hmm.
do many things and she should be proud of that and never suppress the things that she enjoys for anybody, a friend or a family member or for anyone. Do
Mm-hmm.
what you love. And I hope that other women like look at it that way too because her dad accepted her no matter what. And
Mm-hmm.
her mom had a hard time with it. Her mom was the one that was like, I don't like that you're doing these things, Jacqueline. Like, I want you in a dress. I want you riding side saddle. This is not what girls do. This is not feminine.
Mm-hmm.
But her dad was like, let her be who she is.
Mm-hmm.
And I want that for my daughter. I want that for other women. For me, that's very important.
So Colin Wright struggles with emotional suppression and inherited trauma, while Jacqueline is fighting societal suppression of women. How did you approach writing their parallel but very different struggles with identity and control?
So Colin is neurodiverse.
Mm-hmm.
Before, back those days, there was no such concept of this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so for him, he comes across as unfeeling, but he does feel. He just doesn't feel the way that we think people should, right? Um, and the reason they work so well together is because Jacqueline understands him and doesn't try to change him any more than he tries to change her. He
Mm.
loves her for who she is, and she loves him for who he is. He just wants her to be safe. He
Mm-hmm.
doesn't want her to be something she's not.
Mm-hmm.
So, and a part of that is also because of the Duke, Jacqueline's father, and how he played a role in helping. Um, so I think I could balance their very different personalities
Mm-hmm.
because at the end of the day, they both cared about the other person and their differences, and they loved their differences. It's
Yeah.
what, and then they also had a lot in common. Like she liked, like they had a lot in common because she was kind of what you consider a tomboy, right?
Yeah.
He likes to go hunting. He liked to ride. He liked to go fishing. These are all things Jacqueline loved to do. He was
Mm-hmm.
like, to find a woman that enjoyed those things. Those were the things that I liked about Judith McNaught's books, is that she took your common heroine and she kind of turned them on their head. They weren't
Mm.
what you would necessarily think of as a heroine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I kind of wove that into the Nightingale Chronicles and protecting
Mm.
Jacqueline. But it's their differences that made them so unique and made them love each other more.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Now, the book asks readers to think about what it means to protect someone you love, sometimes from external threats, other times from yourself. What emotional truths did you want to capture in protecting Jacqueline?
Well, that's a hard question. I think for protecting Jacqueline, so there was an external threat, but there was also internal struggles that she was having because of her mom and then her aunt, and having women that she looked up to,
Mm,
wanting her to change to fit societal's norms. And I
mm,
feel like women deal with this on a regular basis. Um, so she kind of was like, I'm going to end up alone. I'm going to be alone. It's
mm.
such a sad reality for a woman to like if I don't conform, no one will love me. But then
Yeah,
no one's going to love me because that's not who I am.
yeah,
Um, so I feel like that is the emotional, like that's the layer that I hope people see within Jacqueline, is that struggle. But ultimately, she decides to love herself and
mm,
doesn't need a man to love her.
mm-hmm.
Um, because she's like, I have to be with someone that accepts me for who I am.
Yeah,
Otherwise, what's the point?
true. So let's go to your sports romance because you are so multifaceted. Um, Sports romance is its own powerhouse subgenre. What did you? What no? Why did you decide to step into baseball, gymnastics, and football as arenas for love stories?
I'm a former gymnast.
Okay.
I'm considered a former elite gymnast. Um, and so for me, so the everything that happened to Nicole in the prologue
Mm-hmm.
happened to me. So the injury she experienced, the routine that she's doing, all of that is autobiographical. The
Mm.
coach, how he talked to her, what he did for her, that's my coach. So he is that is my coach. So the her coach that you see in the novel is my former gymnastics coach. That's Terry. He was like the bomb, um, the most amazing coach I've ever had. Um, So for me, that came naturally. My husband's a former college baseball player.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's not biographical. I didn't meet my husband in college. My husband and I met later in life. Um, but I liked the story of a gymnast. You don't hear about the women in sports in these
Mm-hmm.
books as much.
Yeah.
You're seeing it more, but not as often.
Mm-hmm.
But women are athletes too.
Yeah.
Um, so, except her career is going to end because gymnasts don't have a professional gymnastics league.
Yeah.
His career is just beginning because he's going to get drafted.
Mm-hmm.
So you're seeing these parallels of athletes and how
Mm-hmm.
that impacts their life.
Yeah.
Um, so for me, that was a natural book to write.
Mm-hmm.
It felt very natural for me.
Mm.
Um, so that's how I got into that. And my husband helped me with a lot of the sports stuff, the baseball stuff. I'm a big baseball fan. I love football. So for me, it was easy to write that stuff because I enjoy it.
So now,
And I try not to put too much. I know a lot of women don't care for baseball or they don't care for football, but you got to put some of it in there because that's their
yes, I
job.
play football and I play rugby. So, and I ain't even talking about flag football. I'm talking about padded football.
So
So,
you like it. So like
yeah.
yeah, and I do too. So I'm like I got to put some of it in there. It's got to be authentic. So yeah. So for me it felt natural. The football romance came about because I kept seeing all these videos of women being like, let's write a book about the coach. Someone's got to write a book about the coach. So I was like, okay, I'll do it.
So, in Love Beyond the Game, Nicole is recovering, as you said, from the devastating injury, while Jeremy is the playboy. Really.
Yes.
Um, how did you approach creating tension between resilience, vulnerability, and intimacy without falling into cliches?
So the Playboy baseball player is like when I was in college, that was a typical jock.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy's not your typical jock because he's not just a baseball player. He's actually very smart
Mm-hmm.
and he takes school very seriously. So I took um, a part of his character that I think made him unique in
Mm-hmm.
that he likes economics. He's studying economics. That's his major. And Nicole, who hates it, but it
Mm-hmm.
has to take this really difficult class to graduate. So they build a relationship based on him helping her.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas it's not just about the fact that he's this hot baseball player and they build a friendship. So the relationship it becomes almost like a friends to lovers
Mm-hmm.
because it's not based on the typical he's a hot jock.
Yeah.
There's and so she has to learn to trust him. She doesn't have any experience with men at all. So for
Mm-hmm.
her, like he's the first guy that's ever shown interest in her that she's shown interest back. Like it's not
Mm-hmm.
that she's not gone on dates before, but she's just like no one's been more interesting than gymnastics for me that I would then like have to balance the two. So for her, it was more like, you know, he intrigued her and he was trying. He really wanted to win her over. So he like so that's how I took the approach to make it so that you don't fall into those like I mean there's still tropes, but like it's not a cliche. It's not a story that's already been told, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. So, college sports settings are highly competitive and demanding. How do you um, weave the pressures of athletics into the emotional arcs of your characters so that it feels authentic and rather than just like a backdrop?
Well, for Nicole, her entire college career is based on a scholarship. So her
Mm-hmm.
injury also means taking away her college scholarship, which means she won't be able to go to school anymore. So there's a tension there that's natural, that's
Mm-hmm.
built into the story. And I did that on purpose because her family can't afford to send her to this private school. It's
Mm-hmm.
basically like a Stanford, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
called Jefferson University, but it's basically like the Stanford of schools on the West Coast. There's
Mm-hmm.
no way her family can afford to send her there without her athletic scholarship. This
Right.
is a and this is real for many athletes that go to these schools that can't afford them. She knows that gymnastics is not her end all, right?
Mm-hmm.
After college, gymnastics is over. So she needs to focus on school. She wants to go to this school because it's the best school and
Mm-hmm.
has a great gymnastics program. So that's woven into the story to show that tension and the importance of that. And her injury, and the things that she goes through impact her ability to do gymnastics. And so I weave that into her recovery and Jeremy supporting her,
Mm-hmm.
and and she gets the yips.
Mm-hmm.
So there's also a mental health component. Her other injury brought about like these other sports induced traumas that she has to then go through. So I
Mm-hmm.
weave that into the story. So it's all integrated. It's who she is, it's her identity. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not just she happens to be a gymnast and they're in college. Um, so I try to make that flow naturally. And then, of course, there's other things that happen in the story that I won't get into, but
Yeah.
it's all part of their identity.
Okay. So let's switch football. Switch to the football. Um,
That's my
with
most popular book.
the coach, you give us Travis, a divorced NFL coach and father of twins. And then you have Ellie, a child psychologist with her own trauma. What drew you to this intersection of football culture and deep emotional healing?
I was, like I said, I do research when I write my books. So I was interviewing. I knew I wasn't gonna. So I'm in Seattle, right? I was like, "There's no way, Miss, Peterson's gonna give me an interview." So I'm like, "Who am I gonna talk to?" So I ended up interviewing a sports media journalist
Mm-hmm.
who has been around the block. He was on, had his own morning show, has his own morning show. So I emailed him. I'm like, we'll see, maybe he'll write me. So I emailed him and he emailed me back. He's like, let's set up a time to talk. You can interview me and I'll answer your questions. And we started talking, and he was the one that actually brought up this problem in college sports and how players can get away with basically unaliving because they bring these universities millions and millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
But women who are victims, their voices get suppressed because the universities don't want to deal with it. They give these victims, sometimes they'll give them money to quiet them. So in my book, Ella experiences a trauma her first year of college from a football player. And he ends up going off to play and makes millions of dollars. But that was all because Mitch in the Morning was the one that said, he's like, if you really want to make this interesting, don't just make it about football. And I didn't want to do a college football. I already did a college book. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted this to be, older in life. I didn't want her to be dating a college coach. That just seemed weird to me. So
Mm-hmm.
I wanted her to be older. I wanted her to be more mature, but I wanted this dynamic. So I have her trauma carry over into her adulthood,
Mm-hmm.
and how it's impacted her any romantic relationship she's had.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where that idea came from. I can't take the credit for it. He was the one that really brought that one to my attention through my interview with him.
So Ella's story essentially touches on trauma, healing, and finding unexpected love. How do you balance heavier themes with the escapism that romance readers often seek?
Humor. I guess I didn't realize this until I was told this. I'm a rom-com author. So there needs to be a balance with the heaviness.
Mm,
And so I do that with humor. I do that with silliness.
mm,
Um, you've got her cousin Gary, who's also, there's whole other layers with him.
mm-hmm.
But he's a lovable goof. He's the quarterback of the team. That's how she meets Travis to begin with, right? Like,
Yes.
so, and then you have got Quincy and like the dynamic between Gary and Quincy, and they're kind of like, the silly duo. They're best friends. So yeah, I balance that heaviness with humor. And
Mm.
it's supposed to be funny. So if you read it and you think it's funny, it's supposed to be funny. Like there's scenes in there you're like, am I supposed to be laughing right now? And the answer is yes, you're supposed to be laughing.
Parenthood plays a huge role in this book. Travis as a father and Ella as someone navigating family expectations. Why was it important for you to show family life as central to a sports romance?
Because these athletes are dads. It's real. I'm messy and real, right? So
Mm-hmm.
these coaches have families. He's in his early 40s. So by then, like he has his own past.
Mm-hmm.
So he needed to have his own struggles, his own dynamics. I think we as people can put these players into a little box where they just play football and they're football players, but they're also dads, they're uncles. They have a whole other dynamic. So for me, it felt natural for Travis to be a struggling dad. And being a head coach of a football team is not all like it's hard. Like
Mm-hmm.
so the whole point is when you start the book is he could lose his job at any moment and he
Mm-hmm.
realizes that. So, and he's got two girls that rely on him, and he's
Yeah.
alone. So there's a whole the messy and real concept. Like, um, this is his dream job, and he doesn't want to lose it. So for me, it just felt natural that there would be family involved, and she's.
Mm-hmm.
And I also wanted people to see a softer side of Travis rather than just the hard ass because he's the coach. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that was a natural way to show that he was more than just in football.
Mm-hmm.
And adding the two girls, and the girls are in and of themselves hilarious. Like they add a whole other level of like of
Like Parent
levity.
Trap.
Yeah, like the kids play a role, like, and they are like the things that come out of kids' mouths. Sometimes like an adult can't say, but a kid can. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's a scene in the book where Zoe's like, Cece just wants to bone my dad. Like she's just talking about like some random woman that wants to sleep with Travis. Like it's only funny when it comes out of a little kid's mouth. Like that's
Yeah.
not as funny if an adult was to say it. So
So, looking back, where are the two biggest challenges that have held you back in your author career, and how are you actively working to overcome them?
I think there's like I think every author is gonna say marketing is like the biggest thing as an indie author. That's the hardest. Um, and that just comes down to, visibility.
Mm,
Um, and I don't know the solution to that. I I have my own way of doing things, and it either will work or it won't. I am who I am. People
mhm,
either like me or they won't. They'll either want to read my books or they won't, and that's okay. And if people don't like my books, that's okay too.
mhm,
Um, but yeah, that's the hardest part about being an indie author is I don't have a ton of money. I don't have a ton of cash. I can't hire my own marketing team. So that's probably the hardest thing, and just getting exposure.
mhm.
I've It's taken some time. It doesn't happen overnight, and that's you hear about authors like that just take off,
Mm,
and that's not how it's been for me. So, um, and then I learned about Julia Quinn, who had been writing books for 25 years before her books got picked up for um, by Netflix. So it's like you just got to be patient, I guess.
yeah.
So patience and marketing are the two hardest things to come by in my.
What does the phrase "work in progress" mean to you, both as an author and as a human being?
Um, I think I'm always a work in progress. I can always be better. I think people can always be better.
Mhm,
You just have to be open minded to doing that. So I think a person we are a work in progress. To say
mhm,
otherwise would be arrogant. Um, my works in progress for me when it comes to my writing are books that I've actually started drafting. So I
Mm,
have like 12 works in progress.
mm,
So
mm.
those are either books that are in a first draft form, or I think I have two drafts with my editor right now. Um, and I'm working on The Rookie, which is book 3 of, and that's also the hard part is that the coach took off, but I have all these other books I want to write. But everyone wants the series and everyone wants The Rookie. And it's like my brain doesn't work that way. My
Yeah.
brain wants to write whatever the hell it wants to write. I'm a mood writer. So I'm writing The Rookie while simultaneously writing three dark romances, and um, a cowboy romance. And so it's like trying to balance, and the third book of the Nightingale Chronicles. And then there's people that want, like, everyone, this is a good problem to have. I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
But now that I'm getting more popular, people are coming to me being like, I want this one and this one and this one. And I'm like, I can only write so fast.
In your eyes, what makes a great romance story, and what is the one trope you refuse to write?
I will never write the cheating trope.
Mm.
That's a big hard no for me. Um, yeah, that's a big no for me. Um, the one, ask your first question again.
What it was, what in your eyes, what makes a great romance story?
I I like messy and real. I
Mm.
like when it's not, it can't feel forced. The spice can't be like mixed in. It has to feel real, right? Like it has to feel authentic. It can't be all like, it can't be Cinderella to me. It
Yeah.
can't it, there has to be a struggle. So the best romances to me are books that showcase that the female and the male are flawed people,
Mm-hmm.
that you love them and that they love each other in spite of that.
Mm.
So, or because of it, I don't know, like maybe those flaws are what make them unique and special.
Yeah.
Um, in The Rookie right now, I'm dealing with the FMC, who's got a lot of psychological, um, mental health issues that she refused to deal with until she was in college. So now I'm trying to write this book, and it's heartbreaking for me. And I don't even, it's starting to err on the side of too heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I feel like it'll, like if a person reads it, like they might see themselves in it. I guess that's to me a good book. Any book
Yeah.
is if you can see yourself in the characters, or you can see how it might help someone or might uplift someone in the end.
Yeah.
There escapism, yeah, but it's like, if it doesn't feel realistic, like what's the point?
Facts.
You know?
Facts. I say that all the time. But so you write across Regency, mystery, sports romance, genres with very different audiences. How do you make sure your stories resonate with readers across sexual identities, races, and backgrounds?
I guess to so I'm going to have people of color in my books. I'm going to have people in the LGBTQ community in my books. Whether it's a Regency romance or a sports romance, you're going to see um, those either as secondary characters. My dark romance, there's the two, it's an MFMM book. So it's a reverse harem, swords cross, comes out in October. Yes.
Now you speaking my language. No, what?
Um, so for me, I guess my readers read my books knowing that they get a different dynamic, but they know what they get from me.
Mm-hmm.
So for them, it's the story. not the time period, I guess. And the feedback I've gotten on my historical romance is that it reads like a contemporary. So you're not
Mm,
bogged down in the speech and the formality. It's a little bit more formal. It has to be because it's a Regency romance, but like it still feels like a contemporary book.
mm-hmm.
Um, but, and I will be honest, I wasn't promoting my historical romances because on TikTok, it's not popular. Like historical romances, no one talks about them. I don't see any videos of people bringing up historical romances anymore.
Can I say this?
What?
You're probably on the wrong side of TikTok.
And that's like the thing. It's like the algorithm sends me what it sends me, and I've looked up things, but it's like I have this whole genre of books that I rarely talk about. And there's some, and my readers are now saying you need to start talking about them because they're reading them now, and not because I told them to, but they're like, I want more Alex. Oh, look, she wrote this.
It's a
So
lot of us that like historical Regency, Victorian books. It's a lot of us that like those type of books, and they do get talked about. It's just you gotta fix your algorithm so it mimics the people you're trying to reach. You know what I'm
yes,
saying? And I think with that is where a lot of people get messed up at because they're just trying to get the followers without the substance.
well,
And
I've
so,
stopped doing that. Like
yeah,
I've stopped looking for followers and started looking for legit readers.
yeah,
So I don't do follow parties anymore. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for
yeah.
people that want to read my books.
And that's how you fix your algorithm because myself included, I love Regency. I love Victorian. Do I watch Bridgerton? Fuck no. But I do
Me
like
neither.
a good I do like a good historical fiction or a Regency book, and I've really been getting deep into it. So I like them, and I see them all the time. But that's how my algorithm is set up. You know what I'm saying? You just you just got to fix your algorithm to match the what you want to see. Sometimes
And
you have
I,
to reset it.
yeah, what I've done is I set up a separate account for my historical romances, and
Hmm.
I'm hoping I was trying to get more historical stuff to come up on that feed. Um, but the algorithm was sending me thing. I don't know what TikTok has been doing. Like I got some weird videos that were not even book related. Um, but yeah,
Go into your settings and reset your algorithm. Start from scratch.
okay.
Go into the settings. Sometimes it's I forget what it's called, but it's like it resets your whole FYP,
How do you
and
do that?
it's in your setting. Um when we get off of here, I'll send it to you. But you can go into your settings, reset the whole FYP. I mean, it wipes out everything. And then you start liking things or searching for things that you want to see. And then start sending you those things. You don't see anything else unless you start liking something else. But if you go in there and you're just saying, I want to see everything historical, Regency, uh, sports romance, mystery, it is literally gonna send you readers that read that, authors that write that, and that's how your FYP will be set up. So yeah, I had to do it like 3 times before
I'm
I
gonna
could.
have to do that.
Yeah, because I was seeing crazy shit too, and I said no.
I don't know like where I was getting like why I was even getting the stuff that I was getting food stuff. Like I don't. This is weird.
So what is your long term vision for your writing career, and do you see yourself continuing across multiple genres or narrowing it into one lane?
I will still. My brain will write what it wants to write. So if it wants to write a historical, it's going to write a historical. Right now, I've been really heavy on my contemporary work, the
Mm-hmm.
sports stuff. But I got my cowboy romance coming out. And I got my dark romance, so I'm actually like expanding rather
Mm-hmm.
than getting smaller. Um, but even I think there's always going to be themes of like mystery and suspense in most of my books. You're not
Mm-hmm.
going to get that so much in the coach. Um, but there's elements of suspense and mystery in some of my other books because I think that makes them interesting. They can't just be spicy. They can't. I don't write erotica. I write books with a plot that also have spice.
Mm,
So for me, the spice has to fit. It has to make sense. It can't just be forced.
mm,
Um, but I don't see myself. I I'm having a hard time getting rid of Saving Edward because it's the last book of the Nightingale Chronicles, and the Nightingale Chronicles is the first series I ever wrote. So for
mm.
me, finishing that one is more a psychological problem that I'm dealing with because I don't want to say goodbye to the characters
Yeah.
because that's the end of the series. But I do need to finish that book and get it out because I need to do that. I even have the cover done. It's been done for months.
Yeah.
Um, but for me, as long as my readers will want to read those books, I will continue to write them because that's what my readers want. I'm doing audiobooks now. I'm expanding. So the coach is coming out on audio. Um, Aiden Snow and CJ Bloom will be reading the coach.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm trying to get him. I would like Aiden Snow to read the quarterback and the rookie when it comes out.
Mm-hmm.
And he's my favorite male narrator. So for me, that would be like, you know, hallelujah time. Um, but so yeah, the more I write and more successful, I'd like to make more of my books into audiobooks. And
Mm.
I'm being methodical and I'm making business decisions. So people are like, why don't you just go with, whoever to read these books? And I have a set of narrators that I have reading the Nightingale Chronicles and the Bow Street Ladies, who I love, that I found on TikTok. And I'm also going to be utilizing some other narrators that are more well known. Um, I'm making business decisions for myself on that. And to me, CJ Bloom and Aiden Snow are chef's kiss. So, and the way they've been, the feedback I got, the review that I got from them on the coach was so phenomenal. I know I made the right decision to have them do it. So stay
So,
tuned.
so what do you think is missing in today's publishing world, especially when it comes to diversity and inclusivity in romance?
Um, I think that romance has a stigma, and
Mm,
I still see this. Um, Most authors are men,
mm-hmm.
but even in romance, we are heavily towards the female writer, but we are also looked down upon.
Mm,
Um, and I keep hearing this. It's like these things are not realistic, and like the size of the guy's member, the love story, like it's not real. It's like we know that it's a fantasy. It's why it's called fiction. Like there's some elements to it that are not real, just like any fantasy book that you read. So,
yeah.
but I don't understand like why romance gets this stigma of like all of a sudden it's not realistic.
Mm,
Um, but I know for me, um, as a woman, it is like I I write from what I see in the world,
mm-hmm.
um, because I write messy and real, and I put those in my books.
Mm-hmm.
But until people can get outside of their box and stop thinking about romance as smut, I
Mm-hmm.
think we make jokes about it, but at the end of the day, we hurt ourselves by calling it that because people that are not in book talk, the rest of the world, um, they look down upon it and they think it's like reading Penthouse or whatever. Um, and so anyone that wants to come in to write this genre, they're going to see that stigma. As a writer in general, as a woman, it's very difficult to be taken seriously sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, TikTok loves a thirst trap.
Mm-hmm.
I am not a sexy man, and I don't have whatever that is that I write, and I also write predominantly for women.
Mm-hmm.
So that doesn't help me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think people of color then add another layer of difficulty on top of that because it's already harder for people of color, um, man and woman. Um, and I see it happening in front of me. Um, I also think that white people need to stop talking for people of color. I think that that really pisses me off. So, like, I have my own perspective on that. That's maybe not so well liked, but I just think that, like, acknowledge that we don't know what we don't know. Like, I don't know your experience, I don't know your life. I'm not going to pretend that I do, and I can't write that. Um, if I do, it's almost like writing a stereotype, right? Because we write based off of our own experience, our own feelings. It's the same when women write the LGBTQ community books about, like, I have a hard time with that also. I have a very hard time writing. I had a very hard time writing my scenes because I don't know that life. I don't, why would I? I'm a white woman. Like, I don't know what men are experiencing when they're gay. Like, that's a whole other level. So, um, I think that at the end of the day, we just need to be there for each other as authors. We have a responsibility to help uplift each other. And that's what I try to do and what I do. I just want other authors to feel supported. So whether it's somebody of color, somebody in the LGBTQ community, another woman or a man, and then the other stuff is just noise because it just detracts from what we're doing. So for me, that's my life. That's all I can. That's all I can do. That's all I can say. Um, and like I heard this morning, there was another people in the book talk community, people that say they don't see color, or people that say that the color doesn't matter. It really pisses me off. You're not seeing diversity. You're not enjoying life. The sky is different colors at night than it is during the day. Like, if you don't see color, you're missing the point. Like, to me, just don't pretend to know someone else's experience. Don't, that's my soapbox. I can stay on that forever, but that's how I feel. Just like when I read what men write about other women and their perspective on how women are, like, sometimes it's incredibly negative and that really pisses me off. So I don't know. But then I also have to write men. So
Well, I see both points. I think men in general have a tendency to write us as objects, not people. And the ones that write us as people is rare. Um, and then those who say they don't see color, they don't see politics in books, but you read the Hunger Games. You don't see color, but there was a black character in the book that you loved, or it was a Native American or Indian or uh, Asian, South Asian, in the book, but you loved the book, so you didn't see them, or someone who is white saying I can't read a black book because I can't relate, but that
that's
makes no
bullshit
sense.
too.
That makes no sense because black people. I read the Babysitters Club and all the girls were white, but I was just like, shit, this is the best goddamn book when I was a teenager and
Because it
when I
was a
was a kid.
story.
You know what I'm saying? So I there are so many people I have been blocking lately because of those type of views. You can't say I want the literary community to be diverse and have inclusivity, but be like, I can't read an MM book because oh my god, two men. What the fuck? You know what I'm saying? It's different if I can't read this book because um the plot wasn't plot. You
That's a like or dislike. That's
Yeah.
subjective.
But you're saying I can't read this book because there's two men in it. And that's crazy to me.
No, but
But
as an author, I think it's real for an author to say, like, everyone wants me to write Quincy's story.
mhm.
Quincy's in the coach. He's one of the players. He's a black man.
Mhm.
I'm a white woman. What
Aware.
the hell do I know about his experience? I cannot pretend. So, and I talked to DeAndre about this because he's another author. And I'm like, and he's like, well, then he's like, I'll read it. I'll tell you whether or not it's authentic. It's like, I need help. I'm like, I'm not going to write. If everyone wants the story, I will try to write it. But it's like, I need a black man to tell me if it's real, if I got the point. It's not about the words they say. It's about the emotion, the feeling, the life story in it. Um, he's a black man from the South. Like, I can't, as a secondary character, it's like one thing because I'm not writing his story in the book.
Mm-hmm.
To write a football romance and not have any black players on a football team, that would not be authentic.
Yeah.
So for me, it was natural to write him in the book, and he's so well loved now. Everyone wants his story. So I'm like, well, I know his story, but I don't know how to write his story.
Mm.
So, and that's the same struggle I had with my romance. I don't know gay men's story, and I'm not going to write them like they're women. Like, that's not authentic either. So that's a personal struggle that I am dealing with. But it's not because I don't see color or I don't want to read those books, because I do. And it's just, I have to be true and authentic. And the characters deserve to feel true and authentic. But to say you won't read something because that's not your life experience, that's like saying, okay, well, I'm Jewish, so I can't read any books about Christian people.
Yeah.
That's like every book in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and you're also closing the door on learning from someone else's experience, because if you don't, like, that's a whole other world out there that you then close the door to because you don't want to read it.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I know for me, it's me, me writing my book is fantasy, it's dark romance, and it's romantasy all blended into one. But everyone's black except for one character who is Blasian. He's biracial. Um, my concern was, will that be appealing to a white reader? And these are the things that us black authors or black readers go through, or people of color we go through. Like, will they like what we're writing or saying or suggesting as a read? So when people say I don't see color, you kind of prove the point in which we were just saying. This is why we're not out here saying, hey, read my book, or hey, I got a suggestion for a book, because there are people like that.
There are.
So that's the thing. And I understand what you're saying. So with me saying that, what's one piece of advice you offer to new writers who are just starting out?
I'm going to do two pieces of advice. One's really easy.
Okay.
Don't use a vanity press. Do not pay someone to publish your book for you. You can do it yourself. If you don't know how, find another indie author who can help you. That's number one. You don't need to give someone thousands of dollars to publish your book for you. They do nothing for you, and that's just a waste of money. Graham was one author that I met him because I told him not to use a vanity press. He was like, I found my publisher. I'm like, whoa, that sounds weird. The other bit of advice I would give to authors is, and I'm still like, I'll give this advice knowing that I'm still figuring this out myself. So I'm working on this to this day, is it doesn't matter if not everyone likes your book. Because there are lots of people that don't like Don Quixote. There are lots of people that don't like Hemingway. There are lots of people that don't like Tolkien. There are lots of people that don't like whoever. Not every author is a love for every reader. You're going to get bad reviews, and it's going to suck. And it's okay. It's okay that it sucks. And it's okay that that reader doesn't like your book.
Yeah.
And it's not personal, because reviews are subjective. Reviews are for the reader, right? There are things and I'm not the kind of author that says don't read the reviews. I like the reviews because sometimes I read them and there's actually useful information in there. A reviewer can say something that actually helps me be better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there's also reviews that are worthless and don't do anything to help you. And it's those reviews that you have to figure out how to not, that's the noise you don't need to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So we already have enough, like you probably with your book, you were worried about, well, right readers want to read my book. Well, there's an element of imposter syndrome in there because that's your story. That's how
Mm-hmm.
you that's your the way that you wrote it. It's not your experience. You're not writing a memoir, but that's authentic to you to write the book the way you wrote it. To do so
Mm-hmm.
otherwise would not be authentic to you.
Yeah.
Um so um but you're worried about alienating a whole demographic of people. And I guess to me I would say to anybody that feels that way, because I worry that black people wouldn't want to read my books.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I guess my answer to that is when you've read books before TikTok, before social media, and this might contradict something I said earlier, but when did we ever read a book based on who wrote it? Like, have you ever thought about, like, I don't know what any of these authors look like. I've never looked at a picture of an author until I was on TikTok.
Mm. I mean, it's different because you know how you said you can't experience my experience, I can't experience your experience, right? In the black community, a lot of us who grew up in the black community um have went into bookstores and all we've seen were the pictures of white authors. And then it's a small sliver of a section that says black literature, not black romance, or putting those black authors on the romance shelves with the other authors. It was a small slither that said black literature only, regardless of the genre. Now it's more so you may have one or two books that's in the bookstore on those shelves with the rest of the other authors, but that's about it. That's all you're going to get. And then you have classic black literature. So we've never experienced that in all our time of existing, being able to read. We have never experienced um, the picture part because we've never seen the picture of us. We've only seen the picture of white authors. When I go into the romance section, I don't see black authors. I see white authors. I may see a Latino author. I may even see an African author, but I don't see an African American author. Even, and that's for all genres across the board. And if you request it, they'll tell you in your face, "Oh, we don't have that here." So that's the experience we have. So I see white authors all the time, every day, all day. And it's nothing against them. And it's nothing against any white author that's in a bookstore.
No, it's not about
But
that.
but it's the diversity and the inclusion that I'm looking for.
You
They
know
will
who crossed that boundary?
mm,
I don't know if you've ever read anything by her. Her name is Sarah McLean.
mm,
She's a romance author. She writes historical romance.
mm,
She's a black woman author.
mm.
I didn't know she was a black woman until I went on Amazon to find more of her books. And there's
Because
her
it's not
smiley
smart
face.
for us to put our picture on things.
Well, she put her, I mean, she's on there. She's got her beautiful face.
Hmm.
I've been reading her books for years. I had no clue.
Yeah. I mean, nowadays it's like it's such a
And
stigma.
she's one person. That is not a,
No. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I'm just saying it's just such a stigma with us, depending on the genre you write. Um, if it's contemporary, if it's historical, you might know them. You might. If it's urban fiction, paranormal, fantasy, And horror is about that much because that they they think it's
Well,
niche.
well, people of color in writing have been suppressed already.
Yeah.
Like women have been suppressed.
Mm-hmm.
In the author community, like I've said, the majority of the people that write
Mm.
are white men.
Mm.
So romance is its own little box, right? It's predominantly women. But there's still men who write in it.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. Um.
So, and then imagine that on top of that, women of color, people of color are even
Mhm.
more suppressed. I mean,
It's crazy,
it's crazy. Like we
and
talk
we're in
about women.
2025.
Well, this was a huge dilemma during the civil rights movement because there was the women's rights movement, and then there was, I love research. There's the women's rights movement, and then there's women's people of color movement. Women get paid an X, white women get paid X amount.
Mm.
People of color that are women get paid even lower. So there was like this argument during the civil rights movement of, well, what do we want to focus on first?
Mm.
They wanted to focus on the vote.
Mm.
So rather than on pay, rather than accessibility, like this will sound very bougie, but it's an experience. I live in Seattle. There was a golf club that did not accept Jews.
Mm.
So a golf, and so a group of Jewish men decided to open their own golf club because they couldn't join any other golf club just because of their last name. Like, well,
Mm.
you sound Jewish, so you can't join. So they created their own golf course. So we ended up basically creating segregation within like our own community.
Mm.
But it was out of, they wouldn't accept Jews there. And this
Mm.
was during World War II, during the 30s and the 40s.
Mm.
So, these groups of people have had to find ways to do the things that they enjoy doing, but they have to pick what's the top priority.
Mm.
So these were like conversations they were having during the civil rights movement. Women are always on the back burner. We've always been, whether it's black women, the women's vote, like we've always kind of been the last one. Like then women get women's suffrage, but it's that came first, and then black people got the vote. Like it's always like this hierarchy of trying, what's the path of least resistance that we can get first.
Yeah. I think with the women's suffrage movement, like in 18, I think it was like 1851. So Sojourner Truth, Ain't I Woman? And I don't care what color you are, that is one of the best speeches for the women's rights movement. Because she was not just speaking as a black woman, she was also speaking as a woman, period. Um, and the patriarchy has been going on even before slavery even existed in the European nations.
Yeah.
Because everybody else
Middle Eastern nations too.
and Middle East, but everybody else outside of that were not even giving a fuck about patriotism or patriarchy or any of that. It was just their shit linked over to everybody else shit and made everybody else into this damn bullshit. So this is why I say the top publishing houses are ran by old crusty ass white men
Yeah.
who do not like women, change, or deviation from their egos.
Yes. There's
This
a blueprint on how to write a romance novel.
and that shit is garbage.
And that's
Because
why they're like, all these books are the same. It's like, duh. That's why indie authors are so amazing because you're getting a different story. Whereas these publishing houses want the same story in the same pattern with the same idea because that's what they know sells and they don't want to deviate from it.
yeah,
And that's why indie authors are unique in that because I can't write in that stupid bubble. I can't do it. I won't do it.
and that's why a lot of indie authors are being so successful right now. Because people are tired. They're tired of reading the same old blueprint. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like indie authors are making the biggest impact on the literary world. And without indie authors, the literary world would have fucking died.
Yeah.
Period. Because the biggest piece of the pie is indie authors across the board. So, with that being said, I am going to thank you for being on here. I appreciate your perspective. I appreciate your books. Um, and I'm going to do your outro. And if you want to stick around, I have some news for you. You might want to use one of these ladies. But yeah. All right, let's get into this intro. Alexandria Shaw is proof that romance can take on many shapes. From Regency mystery, where women defy societal rules, to sport arenas where love collides with ambition and family. Her stories remind us that resilience, vulnerability, and empathy are universal across time and settings. So, before I get into the next part, are there any book signings you're going to? Can I get your social media handles? And do you have a Facebook group or Patreon?
I don't have Patreon. I do have in Facebook. I don't have a group. Um, I have a book signing coming up in November at the Barnes and Noble in Issaquah, Washington, on November 9th. It's at 1 p.m. And I'm going to be at Romance Atlanta and Romance Chicago. Those are some big events.
I might just have to drop into Romance Chicago because I'm here in Chicago.
You have to come. I would love to meet you in person. That would be kind of amazing.
I'm gonna come. I'm gonna come. You and DeAndre are gonna be there, so I'm gonna come.
DeAndre is the only man at Romance
He
Chicago.
said that. I was like,
Because men aren't as predominant in romance. So for him to be there is kind of amazing. But he's more than a romance author. He writes way more than romance.
yeah.
But so those are the book signings. I'm mostly on TikTok. I'm also on YT. I don't want to get you bananaed because I said to go to a different website or a different app.
Or you can say it's in your Schmio.
Yes, there's stuff in my. You can go to my link in my Schmio, for my YT and my Gram, and yeah, you can find me all over there. I just had a virtual signing on Friday here on TikTok. I'm hoping to do more of those. So if there are other influencers that are doing some virtual signings, I would totally be up to doing those. That was the most successful event I've ever had. So I sold out of the quarterback and the coach at that virtual signing. So I'm getting them in. There's pre-signs open. So if you want to get my books, there's pre-sales open for those now. So like I said, those are the two most popular of my books. It was amazing. Thank you, Kim.
So y'all need to keep an eye out for her upcoming events, her upcoming books. Alexandria, thank you so much. Thank you for bringing us into the world of dukes and detectives and gymnasts and NFL coaches, and for reminding us that love that is in love stories will always be relevant no matter the backdrop. So, with that being said, y'all know how I do. Stay loved, stay loud, and stay black on motherfucking purpose. All right, let's get into this housekeeping, y'all. First things first, let's talk about the